Sex trafficking is reaching epidemic proportions.
Yeah, millions of people, mostly women and children, are victims every year, and those numbers are continuing to rise.
We heard about sex trafficking during recent arrests at day spas across our area, but tonight we want to show you a different kind of sex trafficking. CBS 12's AJ Walker has the story of a woman trafficked while pursuing a modeling career.
Good evening. Erica Kramer was young and beautiful, but she was also trusting. She says she trusted the wrong people, and instead of a world of glitz and glamour, she ended up going through a horrifying ordeal that would leave her changed forever. It all started when 20-year-old Erica Kramer moved from the quiet beauty of Tennessee to the busy streets of New York City, chasing her dream of becoming a model. But the modeling agency she thought would be her big break was anything but.
They claimed to be an agency, and then when I got there, they turned into being a management.
Turns out she had to find her own modeling work, but the management agency would provide her a place to live. They had required she live in their modeling house, crammed with other aspiring young models.
There was 21 of us. Sometimes there was 30 of us, and it was only 2 bedrooms.
Erica says they were all kept on a tight leash.
We had to report everywhere that we were going. Not allowed to have any type of other friends. So outside of the girls that you're modeling with, you weren't supposed to make connections as far as you had friends in the area, you weren't supposed to go see them.
Despite starting to have bad feelings about the agency, she didn't feel like she could leave.
They would say, well, you're on your own, you only have us. I was on my own. I was in New York all by myself, and I only had them.
Erica says her modeling work started to slow down, and the management agency wasn't making much money off of her. So they required her to go to nightclubs they had connections with as a way to earn her rent.
You're supposed to stand there, look pretty, you're not supposed to talk, things of that nature, and in return, we'll compensate you rent.
She says it was in the back of one of those clubs her modeling dream became a nightmare.
I had been drugged and raped, and that happened in the back of the nightclub area.
Erica says she tried to run away that night, but someone followed her.
They had kidnapped me off the streets at that point.
She says she was drugged again, and the next thing she knew, she woke up tied to a bed. It was sex traffickers who took her and sold her to men who brutally raped and beat her over and over again.
They would choke me, they would beat me as far as just using their blunt force. They would knock me out to be able to do whatever they were wanting to do as far as taking advantage of me, raping me. They would bite me a lot.
Erica says she was trafficked for 3 days and thought she would die in that bed. She believes a manager from the agency had arranged for it to happen.
How did you know that the guys who abducted you into that house were the people from the modeling agency?
The first one that raped me, I remember hearing his voice.
She finally found a chance to escape when her traffickers were moving her to a different location.
And if you don't fight back now, you won't have that next chance.
While the car was stopped at a stop sign, Erica says she started making a commotion in the back seat. When one of her traffickers opened the door to get her to stop,
I kick her as hard as I possibly can.
She ran to a nearby hotel and called for help. While waiting, the aspiring supermodel looked at herself in a mirror.
And
What'd you see? How'd you look?
A monster, to say the least. So nothing like the supermodel, nothing like the all-American girl. I looked like I'd been put through the ringer because I had.
Did they ever catch the people who did this to you?
No. I wish.
According to Erica, the police investigated, but the case went cold.
I wish I could be at that type of position where I'm like, yes, let's prosecute, let's do something about what these people did.
She has a new life now, living in Florida. She hopes sharing her story will save someone else. Erica Kramer now works with other survivors of sex trafficking, and she's also written a book called Models Stop Traffic. To hear more about Erica's story and the warning signs of human trafficking, go to our website, CBS12.com. For CBS 12 News, I'm AJ Walker.
Florida ranks third highest in the nation for human trafficking cases, with sex trafficking making up the majority of it.
CBS 12 News spoke with a sex trafficking survivor forced into prostitution and trafficked around Europe for nearly a decade before she got out. Our AJ Walker has her story.
Hello? Come here. Here your hand.
Yeah, I can
Hi.
show you.
For Lena Thompson, life today is about the little things. Spending time with her 2-year-old son, Travis, and watching him grow.
I hope I can give Travis a good example of what's going on when he grown up, and hopefully he will join me in the fight against trafficking.
Lena says nobody was there to fight for her when she ran away from home in Bulgaria at the age of 17, right into the hands of a sex trafficker.
The first one was my boyfriend.
After just a couple of months of living together, Lena says her boyfriend made a shocking proposal.
He said, oh yeah, well, here's a client, so you start in working. You're going to sell your body for money, for me.
How did you feel that first night after you were finished having sex with men for money?
Oh, absolutely disgusting and dirty. I felt absolutely horrible with myself.
There would be many more nights like the first one and many more clients. Lena says her trafficker controlled her every move, making sure selling sex became her world.
I couldn't have any contact with all my friends. He was constantly with me everywhere we go.
Lena says her boyfriend started sharing her with a second trafficker. Did they ever give you any of your own money that you earned?
No, they never give you the money. This is not for you. You don't deserve anything.
So if they didn't give you any money, what did they give you? Did they give you anything?
Nothing. You don't deserve nothing because for them you're nothing. All they see you as making money from you, and the more they can make, the better it is. They don't see you as a human being.
Why not just run away? Why not just take off and just run as far as you could and just get away from these people?
Because it's not that easy to do that. They break you mentally.
Most of the time they say, no, I couldn't leave because I was scared. Then if you can't leave, you're being held there against your will.
Special Agent Rebecca Gonzalez Ramos with Homeland Security Investigations says sex trafficking victims often feel trapped, just like Lena. She says sex trafficking is very different than prostitution, although some people don't understand the difference.
Anytime something is occurring to a person by force, fraud, or coercion, that person is being trafficked.
Lena's second trafficker took her from Bulgaria to the red light district of Amsterdam, where prostitution is legal. She spent hours in windows like this one on display for customers and people who just walk by to stare and judge.
They shout at you, the people who walk on the street. You know, they call you with all terrible names. They're not coming, sometimes they will come and spit on your window. It's just absolutely terrible. It's humiliating.
Lena wanted out, but like the girls in the window, she never let it show. Most customers never knew the pain she was in.
I think many of them are unaware that those girls and boys sometimes are trafficked. I don't think so many men are aware of that.
Lena says she was trafficked for about 8 years. She finally got out after she told a customer how badly she wished she could escape. He vowed to help.
And I thought, oh my gosh, but I don't know this guy either. What if he's another trafficker?
But he kept his word.
He came back for me.
Lena eventually found a support system and started a new life. Then met her American husband, who whisked her away to Florida. Now they have Travis.
Yay! Bravo, Travis! You're such a good boy, Mama.
And another baby on the way. Lena says the humiliation she experienced while being forced to sell her body is part of the stigma associated with sex workers. She says that stigma leads to sex trafficking victims being too ashamed to ask for help, and many of them end up trapped in that life. For CBS 12 News, I'm AJ Walker.